Yeah, I was worried he was going to. Is it that tall?
You got to go up there. On the base, and they're down here. They're going to get the top of it. What's the only thing for the elephants?
Isn't that beautiful?
Strip the bark off the trunk to give themselves a nice big meal. Now when they're not using that trunk for eating though, they can use it to give themselves a nice big drink. They can fit about 9 litres of water inside that trunk and then shoot it into their mouth kind of like a water pistol. But by far the favourite thing that you'll see these elephants doing is on a nice hot day, they'll actually take themselves for a big swim in this pool in front of you, and they'll actually use that trunk as a snorkel as they swim around, meaning that they never have to lift their enormous head out of the water. Now speaking of enormous heads, elephants are very, very well known for being the largest land mammal, with Asian elephants like these guys coming in a very close second to their African cousins. In fact, when Jide is fully grown, he'll weigh upwards of nearly 5,000 kilos. So you can see he still has a long, long way to go now. By the time he is fully grown, he'll probably be about half a metre taller than his aunt that he's standing next to over there, and have a very nice big pair of tusks on him as well. Now elephants will use this enormous size of theirs to really create a massive impact in the natural environment that they live in. You'll see them pushing down trees, eating an enormous amount of food, clearing paths through the entire rainforest, and altogether it does sound quite destructive, especially when you consider that they live in nice big herds. But the way that elephants do this has actually given them a really good reputation and a nickname as ecological engineers. Now, while elephants are clearing massive spaces, they are really helping to declutter incredibly dense areas of the rainforest and help to promote growth for the next generation of plants. Now they'll actually use their feet and their tusks to dig and widen waterways and provide water for not only themselves but for a number of other species that live in the rainforest with them. And like I said, they eat a lot of food and it's all going to come back out the other end. And elephant poo makes great fertilizer in the rainforest, and it's a really, really efficient way of helping to disperse seeds throughout the rainforest as well. So it's not uncommon to see a number of other species hanging out with elephants, like primates, birds, even groups of all different kinds of mammals. They love hanging around them and cleaning up all the scraps that elephants tend to leave behind. Now, by far one of the best things about working with elephants, though, is actually how smart they are. And elephants are incredibly well known for being very, very intelligent and also very emotional at the same time. Now, we like to put them right up the top of that scale with a whole bunch of other animals like great apes, but also dolphins and whales. Now, elephants do think in a slightly different way, though. They have what we call herd intelligence, which means that as individuals are learning, they're passing down that knowledge to the rest of their herd mates to really give them the best chance of survival. So a matriarch like Pakboon, while she was a youngster, being taught where to find food and water in droughts and when resources are looking a little bit low, she'll actually teach her own calves the same way to do that, even if they don't live through those same environmental circumstances. Now, to make sure that our elephants are not getting too bored here in captivity, we love stimulating them as much as we possibly can. And you can see there's a whole bunch of toys hanging around the exhibit for them to play with, but at the same time, we love using lots of training to get them moving and really get that brain thinking at the same time. So we essentially play personal trainers for our elephants, where we get them running around, making sure they're getting lots and lots of exercise, and also using those big muscle groups at the same time. So we get them moving heavy logs, heavy tyres, running up and down the lower paddock, and really making sure that they are exercising as much as they possibly can, but also using different kinds of puzzles and different kinds of tools to make sure that they're using the problem-solving skills that they would be using in the wild as well. So we can use that training to do anything from look in their mouth, even take blood samples and do ultrasounds, completely from our elephants' cooperation, as long as we give them a little bit of food to say thank you at the end of it. So it does make our job very, very easy, but it also means that we have to put in a lot of work to make sure that they're thinking all the right things. So you can see that we do a lot here at Taronga to make sure our elephants have a fantastic life. Now, unfortunately, their wild cousins don't have it so easy. Now, there are unfortunately fewer than 30,000 Asian elephants left over in the forest of Asia, and that number is declining so quickly we're expecting to see the end of wild populations in less than 20 years' time. Now, while that does sound quite soon, there is a lot we can do about it to hopefully slow that down and stop it altogether. Now, the single biggest threat facing Asian elephants at the moment is unfortunately deforestation due to the ever-increasing human population. Now, unfortunately, as our numbers boom, we're taking more and more space away from wild elephants, and like building farms and building different kinds of villages, and elephants don't really see those boundaries, so they're quite happy pushing down fences and helping themselves to a smorgasbord of food on the farms. Now, unfortunately, that has led to deaths of both people and elephants, and has created this massive conflict about how close people can live to these amazing animals. Now, Taronga is really hoping to try and de-escalate that conflict by building things like beehives on fences around national parks. Although it sounds a little bit silly, there's nothing an elephant can do to defend itself against a bee, and when it hears those hives, they're actually going to go running off the other direction. Now, farmers can actually use those hives and harvest the honey and sell it for an alternative source of income, so it does mean that we both get a little bit of win-win, and the elephants also get to stay nice and close and use as much of the rainforest as they possibly can. Now, simple things that we can all do in our day-to-day lives, like buying paper and timber products from recyclable or sustainable sources, means that it reduces the need to cut down the rainforest any further, and our elephants will be more than happy taking care of themselves with the resources that they have. Now, unfortunately, the next big issue really affecting both Asian and African elephants is, of course, the poaching industry. Now, if you do have a quick look around the yard, you'll notice that only our smallest elephant has a tiny set of tusks, and that's because in Asian elephants it is only the boys that grow them, but in African elephants it's the boys and the girls. Now, unfortunately for them, the most recent statistic has it that one elephant is killed every 15 minutes for its tusks, which leads to about 96 elephants being slaughtered every single day. Now, it's really, really unfortunate because in the wild, elephants will use those tusks for things like digging holes, for stripping bark off trees, and even fighting off predators like tigers. Now, unfortunately, when those elephants are killed, those tusks are turned into things like dice, piano keys, or they're simply carved and hung on someone's wall as something pretty to look at. So I'm sure you would all agree with me that the world is a much better place with elephants with those tusks. And there is really simple things that we can do. So if you are travelling to areas like Southeast Asia and you see ivory for sale, you can actually report it via an app developed by Taronga and a group called Traffic Southeast Asia. Now, there is a big hut in the middle of the exhibit here where you can learn a little bit more about that. but it's a very easy way that you can actually help to report anything from the illegal wildlife trade. So you see it, you take a photo, and it'll actually get sent to the courts and help to take down any big groups that are known to kind of delve in trading anything like ivory or live animals in that trade as well. Now guys, that is unfortunately it for me this afternoon, but if you do have any questions about our elephants or about wild elephants, please feel free to come over and see me. I will just be at the bottom of the stairhouse in a minute, but thanks for your time this afternoon, and I do hope you...